Alright guys, what's going on? It's Curdle, and welcome back. I'm sorry in the last episode there was no mouse, but now there is, with mouse click effects. Yeah, mouse click effects are amazing. It's just a little dot. It's insane. Alright, so, I said this episode we would be going over a basic geometry level creation-y thingy-me. And that's what we're going to do. So, basically what we want to do is create a flat plane with a few cubes as obstacles, and then a sphere that applies to physics. Alright, sounds simple, might be a little bit hard for beginners, which is what this is for. I don't know. All I know is that adding a component confused the heck out of me when I was learning this, so I'm going to take it slow. So, what you're going to want to do to create your level is go create 3D object plane. So basically what a plane is it's a flat 2D surface. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to move it to the 0, 0, 0 position, typing that in there. We can scale it up with this or with the scale tool, like so. But, yeah, you know what, I'll scale it up. I'll make it 10 by 10. There we go. And what you're going to want to do is tag it as static. This will cause it to bake in the lighting, and it'll work better, I guess. So now we're going to go over the components on this mesh. So we have the transform. As I said in the last episode, every object must have a transform. That's what basically allows it to be an object. And then we have the mesh filter. If we remove that, you won't see anything here. Nothing will be displayed here. And then we have the mesh collider. That basically allows physics objects to crash into it. And then we have this convex, which basically makes it simpler, but if we do that, it goes all weird on the plane for some reason. It only does that on the plane mesh. Don't ask me why. And then we have the mesh renderer. So also if we remove this, here I'll deactivate it to show you, you won't see anything. Basically what the mesh renderer does is makes itself visible. So as you can see, it has cast shadows on, receive shadows on, has a list of materials, which we're going to leave at 1 because there's only one mesh. And if you put multiple materials on one mesh, it's weird. We'll leave it at that. And then we have this reflection probe setting, nothing we're going to be going over right now. And then we have the material. We're going to be going over this a lot later, but this is basically what gives it the color. So if I didn't have this material, it would be a pink blob, because that's what it's told to do when it doesn't have material. But anyways, yeah, so this material is set to white, no emission, no other textures, all that stuff. It's nothing really important that we're going to be going over right now. But the one thing you're going to do is you're going to go to cast shadows and set that to off, because we're not going to have anything below it that the player can see. So there's really no point in the plane itself casting shadows. So after you've created your plane, we're going to create, I'm going to zoom out first. Or no, focus back in on this. Nope, not that, that. Actually, I'm gonna scale the plane down to like 2 by 2, maybe. I don't know. How's that look? let's make it 5 by 5. There we go. That's a good size, right? Yeah, that's a good size. Alright, so now we're gonna go create 3D object cube. So we're just gonna hold control and move it. That activates the snapping. Basically we're gonna move it to 0, 0, 0. And hold control, move it up so it's flush with the ground. And notice how this has a box collider, not a mesh collider. Oh, and you'll want to mark that as static too. Basically what a box collider is, it's like a mesh collider, except it's shaped as a cube. And then a mesh collider just follows the mesh, which is generated by the mesh filter. But if we click this, we can edit the collider, change the size, all that. We don't want to do that because it fits perfectly right now. So, you can move this wherever you want. I'm going to move it to like 5 and 2, just for fun. So it's there. And then you're going to hit Control D to duplicate it. Then you're going to hold Control to snap it over. I'm going to move it to about there and set its scale to 2 by 2 by 2. And I'm just going to make increasingly larger blocks until, I don't know, we're at, let's say 4 by 4. And you can just hit Control D to duplicate it. The reason we're not just creating a new one is because that takes longer. 3 by 3 by 3. And move it up. Duplicate it. Move it over here. Move it over here. And make it 4 by 4 by 4. So now, if we hit play, we can see it through the camera. And we can also do that by just going to the game view. Now, there's, I guess, well, we can't really do anything. As you can see, if we hit play, we can't move around. I'm pressing the WASD keys. We can't look around, moving the mouse. Can't really do anything. That's because if we go to the main camera and inspect it, there's no actual components that say, or scripts that say we can look around with the camera. Alright, so, you know, we need that to look around. So what we could do is multiple things. We could go assets, import package, characters, get a first person character in here, then we'll be able to walk around, look around, and we won't need this camera. Or what we could do is, since this is a third person game, sort of, I'm not going to set anything up with the camera yet. I'm just going to leave it the way it is until, like, we've made a character that can move around, which we will be doing in the next episode. Oh wait, nope, we're not done yet. As I said, we want to create a physics object. So that's an object. I'm going to turn lighting off. Oh, no, I'm not. That's an object that applies to physics using a rigid body. So what we're going to do is we're going to say create 3D object. Let's make a sphere. And what you're going to want to do is go to the direction light and set it to mixed. Basically what that means is for non-static objects, and a static object is when you tag the static. For non-static objects, it'll have real-time lighting because that means they move around. For static objects, like these cubes and this plane, it'll bake the lighting, which basically means these shadows are part of the plane's texture. Because the objects don't move, so you might as well do that because it's more efficient. Anyways, now that we have our sphere, I'm going to move to 0, 10, 0. And then we're going to press F to focus on it. And as you can see, we have a transform